Why should advertisers care about search? Well, obviously there's some good things here. Let's talk about it. First of all, as I mentioned, it allows consumers to find them. A consumer can type in some information and say, I'm looking for this, I want to find this, I want to buy this, I want to know more about this, and they can find advertisers who can help them answer those questions and provide them with those products and services. And as I said, the advertiser can also join the conversation the consumer is having with him or herself. And it's voluntary. It's not about interrupting them. It's not about getting in their face. It's not about saying, buy my crap. It's all about saying to a consumer, hey, you just asked a question. Here's a potential answer. You're looking for a 10-speed bicycle? Guess what? We sell 10-speed bicycles. Why don't you come check us out online? We're over here. And so that's the kind of thing that really allows the advertiser to be drawn to a consumer who has a question and who has a need right now. So what are the benefits for advertisers again? Well, it also allows them to jump into the process regardless of how big they are. Now, we talked a little bit about this in previous lessons, but the challenge that most advertisers, small businesses especially, face is that the cost of admission is too high. For example, I have a local dry cleaning establishment. I'm trying to reach people in my neighborhood. I want to let them know that I'm out there and that they should drop off their dry cleaning with me, right? Well, going out and saying, okay, I'm going to advertise on television doesn't always make sense for a few reasons. First of all, it reaches a lot of people that don't live close enough to me for this to be a viable option for them. Second of all, it's usually too expensive. So being able to find someone who's local to me, being able to find someone at something I can afford is a huge part of what's going on here. The other side of it, of course, even if you look at more traditional methodologies like print, it's going to still run you a couple $100s for a couple lines of content. And one of the questions that advertisers would have to ask themselves, first of all, am I reaching the right people? And is it cost effective? Am I going to get a return on my investment? And the problem, of course, is that for a small advertiser who is really just trying to reach a niche market, let's say, or a smaller group, that's still an awful lot of money to throw out there to be able to guess at whether or not someone's going to see that and whether that $200-300 that you're spending is going to bring that much business in. So there's some real challenges with that. So even just being able to test the marketplace is really too expensive for the average small business advertiser. Now with search, one of the advantages, of course, is that it doesn't cost an awful lot to run some testing. By the way, if you want to start a campaign on Google, the cost of admission is $5. That's it. You need $5 to open an account and get in there. Now, of course, if you're doing it right, you're certainly going to spend more than $5, but once again, you're looking at the return on investment. If I spent $3 to reach this person and they came to my website and they bought something, they converted in some way, did that campaign or did that ad impression pay for itself? And that's what we look at. We certainly hope that that's the case, and we can go and do analytics on these searches and get a better sense of how it works. We'll talk more about that as we go on. The point is that the cost of admission to get involved in search is low. It means that companies of all sizes can come in, and it's really leveled the playing field. It's not just a matter of saying the only people who can advertise are the people with deep pockets. The only people who can advertise are the people who can afford to produce a really slick TV spot and run it during prime time. That's not the case. We can now create a lot of things and put this content online and draw attention to it for very little money, or certainly less money than it would cost to buy traditional media. Also, as I mentioned, there are built-in analytics tools here. So if I go out and I create this campaign, in this search campaign, and I'm trying to drive traffic to my web page or straight to my store or whatever my plans are or my goals as an advertiser, I can use tools which are free, like Google Analytics, to give me a better sense of the effectiveness of my campaign. Once again, with this feedback loop in place, I can start to optimize the campaign. I can get a better sense of what's working, what's not working, and I can make changes along the way so I can optimize and get the most bang for my buck. The other good thing about this is that the advertising lead time to run an ad on Google, let's say, is as short as 15 minutes. Now think about this in the context of traditional media. Let's say in traditional media I want to run an ad in a magazine. What's my lead time? It could be weeks. It could even be months, depending on the editorial calendar. So I'm going to have to spend some money, and I'm going to have to wait a while. And by the way, if I send in my camera-ready ad, and at the last minute something changes, I'm kind of out of luck. I'm going to have to either scramble and spend lots of money to get a new ad put in place, get it in there. But if it's already gone to print, I'm done, right? That's what's going to happen. Well, the good news about search and the good news about a lot of the digital realm is it is very flexible. It means that we're in a situation where if at the last minute I change my mind about something, I can go and change it. And so the same thing holds true with running Google ads. I can say opportunity just struck. something just happened, something in the news just happened, or let's say, for example, I run some sort of an auto glass factory. Okay, and I'm just reading that in the Midwest there's a major hailstorm going through. Now, I've been around hail enough to know that that doesn't play well with auto glass sometimes. So suddenly I say, oh my goodness, this is an opportunity and it's knocking right now. And I go to my Google account and I create an ad saying, hail destroyed your windshield. We can help. Replacement glass available. And I start running the campaigns in those areas, because within a matter of minutes, it's very possible that I'm going to have plenty of people going, I need a new windshield. Where can I find a windshield? How does this work? Okay. It's an opportunity and the flexibility to be able to get a message in front of somebody who needs that message right now. So it's about timing and it's about relevancy. And so what search allows us to do is to give us that flexibility to put the ads in there, and once again, to measure and identify what's working, what's not working, so we can make it all work a little bit better. And by using different keywords and by using different ads, we can tweak campaigns. We can fail quickly. We can look at a list of ads that we've created. We can identify which ones are getting the love, which ones are getting clicked on, and not only that, which ones are getting conversions. People are clicking on this, but nothing's happened. People are clicking on this one. Look, they're actually signing up for our newsletter. That's a great ad. And then at the bottom of the pile, you're going to have the ads that nobody seems to like. Nobody clicks on them. And you say, okay, this is good to know. Now I take them out, I get rid of them, and I put some new ads in their place, and I start measuring again. And once again, I'm constantly looking to optimize. And we'll talk more about this as we go through the process, but just be aware that it really is a fantastic channel to be able to tweak and optimize along the way. Now, what about for consumers? There's got to be some benefit here, right? Well, obviously, as consumers, we understand how we use search engines. And so the approach that we take, of course, is really we're looking for information. Now, there are times in my life where I almost kind of shake my head and say, how did we even survive before we could very easily go out there and look things up whenever we had a question? Or find a resource or something. I often thought that the rise of Google has probably been responsible more for saving marriages than anything else, because there are those questions and those stupid arguments that people end up having about who starred in what movie at what point. Well, now, guess what? Within minutes, someone's going to be wrong, because you're going to be able to verify what happened and find the information that you need. So it's a great way to answer a question when you have it. And I find instead of scratching your head saying, well, I don't know, I guess I never will, now you just say, well, wait a second, give me a moment, I'll look it up and I'll have some information for you. But also, search is not limited to the idea of just these text ads that are sitting on the side of a page. And search engines can be used, of course, to find the content that we're looking for, whether it's news items or whether it's pictures or videos or blogs or articles. There are a whole bunch of different things. By the way, we can find ads and web pages as well. So consumers use search in a huge way as in essence, a way to connect themselves with these resources that they really want to have access to. By the way, and this is an important consideration, unlike most traditional advertising methodologies, search can be used to reach people in your neighborhood as well as in your state, your county, your DMA, nationally and internationally for the same cost. Once upon a time, if you wanted to run ads and reach an international audience, it was going to cost you a lot of money. You were going to have to go through some third party that was going to place your ad in a foreign newspaper or a foreign magazine. You get the picture. Now it's just a matter of running the same ad, but saying, okay, well, I'm going to restrict it to local, or I'm going to give this an international flair. I want people who can speak and read English in India to see this ad. That's my target audience, or in Thailand, or whomever you're trying to reach. It changes it dramatically. The playing field is no longer just what I can afford to reach, but more how can I use my money to reach the right people. Once again, that whole targeting thing comes into play here. And by the way, what this allows us to do is bring people together. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be ready to hold hands and sing Kumbaya because we're somehow bringing the world together in some meaningful way, but it has made the world smaller. It has found a way to bring people who have an interest together with people who can help them with that interest. And I think about the very vertical markets. I mean, there are people out there who are passionate, absolutely passionate about things that you and I will probably never, ever consider to be interesting or something we spend a lot of time on. And I always find it interesting to find people who have hobbies that are so far outside of anything I've ever thought of. And yet this is a huge passion. They collect this thing, or they do this thing, or this is an activity that they're in. What search allows them to do, however, is to go find the resources, to make that world smaller or bring it closer to them. And so they can find other people who share these interests and have these interests and products that support these interests and that. The important thing from a commerce standpoint is that within this realm, let's say that you're passionate about yo-yos. To you, yo-yos are fascinating. You love yo-yos, you love yo-yo tricks, you go to yo-yo competitions. The people you hang out with are also fanatical about yo-yos. You know what I'm saying? Most of us probably aren't there. We might appreciate an occasional yo-yo, but that's not it. Well, the thing is, if you are so passionate about it and you say, you know what I want to do? I want to provide the highest quality yo-yos. I want to have yo-yo videos and yo-yo tricks and anything having to do with yo-yo. You know, yo-yos are us. Opening a store on the street corner is probably never, ever going to work for you. You'll be out of business within a few weeks because the idea that you can sustain enough business in one location for people who share this passion is probably not going to happen. However, if you are online and you can now draw the traffic to your site and you can say to anybody who goes to Google or any other search engine, hey, if you type in the word yo-yo, I own that. That's my keyword. And now what's going to happen is you're going to see my ad and you're going to have access to my online yo-yo store. And now suddenly I have an international audience of people who are as passionate about yo-yoing as I am. And as a result, now I can reach these people. Now I can sustain my business and take enough orders and sell enough unique yo-yos to the people who really matter. So it's about targeting. It's about reaching the right people with your message so that you can sustain a marketing model. We'll talk more about this, obviously, when we get into targeting, but just something to think about along the way.